The argument a few years ago was like, that's not a king cake. That's not a king cake. And now that's kind of disappeared.
We started the broadcast with a shot of tequila, and I was brand new. I was like, what is this? What are we doing?
We got it back, and they're like, everything is awesome except for that. And I'm like, okay, well.
He said, you tell that guy you got to win a national championship before you ride it and give me it.
From the Love NOLA TV studio located on Mardi Gras parade routes, the beautiful St. Charles Avenue, this is the Mark Romick Show. Today's guests, local food and social media influencer, Brian Maurice. Our guide to Mardi Gras for the last 50 years, Arthur Hardy. Voice of the New Orleans Saints on WWL Radio, Mike Haas. And the CEO of Kern Studios and Mardi Gras World, Barry Kern. And now, your host, Mark Romig.
Welcome again to the Love NOLA TV studio at New Orleans and Company. Thank you for watching our full episodes on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music. There's also shorts on youtube.com/LoveNOLATV and reels on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's our Mardi Gras episode. We're talking king cakes and parade route restaurants with the man behind Eating NOLA, Brian Maurice. We get to spend 5 minutes with a local legend, our guide to Mardi Gras for the past 5 decades, Mr. Arthur Hardy. We're talking Drew Brees and his first-ballot Hall of Fame induction with the voice of the Saints, Mike Haas. And no Mardi Gras episode is complete without the man behind Kern Studios and Mardi Gras World, Barry Kern. All right, guys, before we get into Mardi Gras, because it is Mardi Gras week, let's talk about the weekend. The Super Bowl. We all had our picks last week. I think we all did pretty good.
I would say so, yeah.
What did you see in the game that surprised you or didn't surprise you?
I was surprised how lack of offense there was in the game. It was like a complete flip of last year, which was like a blowout.
Yeah, they say defense wins Super Bowls.
Yeah, it was kind of old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rashid Shaheed got some action.
Yep.
Oh, it's great to see Rashid Shaheed. I'm misannouncing him.
But I was hoping to. There was one catch in the fourth quarter or something, I think, where he was at the 20 or something. I thought he would take it all the way, but
yeah,
he got a first down.
Stadium looked great. The field looked great. I mean, the production, of course, Super Bowl production, NFL, they do a great job. But
Drew Brees was on the side on the field
yeah,
at the beginning of the game.
They brought him out as Hall of Famer, it just kind of underscores how much we enjoyed having the Super Bowl here last year and what it means to our economy and to all the people here. So, what about you, Pooch? Did you like the game?
I had no real. I'm glad that I picked the right team to win, but I had no, no coin in the game or anything like that. I really was just really waiting for the Super Bowl halftime show, and as a son of immigrants, I think it was a great representation of how love can really conquer everything.
Yeah, I know, Cage. You didn't have a pick per se, but you had something very special you were watching.
Yes, I thought it was very nice of them to let the football players play during the concert. The Bad Bunny concert.
Oh, in other words, it was a concert with a football game in between all of it,
yes.
right? I got you. Yeah, they say that about the Bayou Classic, which is a great football game as well, but you got the great battle of bands that happens there. All right, let's shift over to the past weekend. Great weather. The weather this past weekend was fantastic. And we had a quarterback that rode in Pygmalion. Did anybody see Tyler Shugg?
I did, actually.
Like he's having a good time?
Looked like he was having a good time. And looked, I caught it right after Lee Circle, and I think the real reality hit him when he's like, man, I'm on top of this float. When he got to the CBD area, you could see, I was watching him on the internet and seeing him with families and fun, and then when he got to the CBD, it's just really majestic with all those buildings. You're riding down the street, and you could just see his face was kind of in awe, and all the players were having fun. The other players on the float, it was really cool.
Yeah, really neat for him to experience that.
That's our quarterback.
That's our quarterback. That's right. All right, I've heard this phrase, deep gras. What is that about?
I think that's just this kind of week leading up to Mardi Gras where there's so many parades going on, and it's just we're deep in it.
We're deep in it.
There's no turning back now.
No turning back now.
If you're in it, you're in it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are definitely in it, big time. And the other thing that you have to watch if you're down here is to be in the box or out of the box, right? Do you experience being caught inside the parade route so you can't get out?
Right. Yeah, which in these offices, we're in the box, so.
Right, New Orleans and Company
Yeah.
on St. Charles Avenue between St. Charles and Britannia. Yeah,
So
once you're here.
Yeah, I definitely try to leave work at least by 3. Like, even 3 is too late.
Yeah.
Once Thursday comes.
Stake your flag, you're in it for
Yeah.
the night. You're not leaving.
When you ask all the Uber drivers, though, they always say that the whole city's the box because they can't get anywhere anyway to pick you up or drop you off.
But there is that special route that one can take to go up on the expressway, I think off of Chapatulas, to get up and then come over. So you're riding on top of the parade.
Oh, you gave everybody my secret.
Exactly.
Oh, that's your secret.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, I got to use that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to use that. That's a secret. All right. Let's go ahead and talk about some king cake now.
We've had a lot of it this year, especially here. We've had one on the table every week, I think.
That's from Rouse's, too.
Yep.
Rouse's
This,
Markets. They have great king cakes.
Yes, every one has been great. I've had a funfetti, which is my favorite so far. I've never had an unconventional flavor like that before. It was quite good. This one is wedding cake, I believe.
Wow.
And we had a lemon one a couple weeks ago.
I was at a party this weekend where they had a king cake daiquiri.
Oh, wow.
And it tastes just like a king cake, but it's got a little bit more of a punch than a king cake does, I assure you. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about king cakes and restaurants on the parade route. Very important subject. All right, our first guest covers the local food scene, sharing delicious content to his 153,000 followers on Instagram, Eating NOLA. Brian Maurice, welcome to On the Table, sponsored by Blue Runner Foods, creating authentic Creole meals since 1918. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. I saw your recent king cake posts on Black and Gold at the Four Seasons, the beignet cake, king cake at Southern's, and then, of course, the riff that you did on the Vieux Carré cocktail from IU Bakehouse in the Marigny. Let's just talk. I mean, the king cakes are so fantastic.
Oh, they're getting over the top. I mean, it's like every year somebody one-up somebody else, and the competition's pretty fierce.
I mean, gone are the days of the Mackenzies. I loved Mackenzies growing up, but it was that standard little king cake, right?
Yeah.
With color on the top.
The
But
basic
now,
cakes are kind of disappearing.
Yeah.
The argument a few years ago was like, that's not a king cake. That's not a king cake. And now that's kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to ask you your favorite, but I mean, and even if you bake your own, but I mean, when you bring a king cake to a party, I bet everyone now has an expectation from you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Dunfeng is like in a category of its own. People used to call that not a king cake, and that's kind of like I put that just out of the
They were like
question.
the pioneer of.
Well, it's just it's
special
so
king
good,
cakes.
and I think the fact that it's a little hard to get.
Yeah.
Like you can't just find it on the shelf everywhere. You got to either wait in line or know the spots and know the times. I think that's that adds to the the mystique of it.
I've known people waiting in line like all day.
Yeah, I go wait in line. I get them for clients.
Let me know when you
I
do
give
that
'em away.
next.
You got it.
I'll do
You gonna
that.
sell your house?
Yeah, truly. King cake's obviously a delicacy for Mardi Gras, but there's other food that you can eat.
Yes.
Let's talk about restaurants along the parade route. What comes to mind?
Well, I'm gonna tell you my favorite one just opened up down the street. Pho Do.
Okay.
It's a Vietnamese spot. They just opened. It's actually the same owners as Quick and Carry on the West Bank, which I did
Okay.
a post on that, and it went crazy. Vietnamese food, but it is their family recipes, and it is unbelievably good. And they're going to be serving stuff right on the route, from egg rolls, snapdragons, all the kind of
Really
stuff.
quick pickup type food too.
Quick and go, or you
Yeah.
can dine in. And they got a place to kind of hang out for catch the parades as well.
Yeah. So advice to viewers: stake out your restaurant along the parade route. Know their times, know their operation.
Yeah, but there's a ton of options. I mean, Cochon Butcher, that comes to mind because Tuck's kind of finishes right there.
Yeah.
I think as a kid, you just get a big box of Popeyes. Honestly, that was my
True.
parade
Raising
snack.
Cane's, Popeyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just something quick and go because.
Well, now places deliver to you
on the float. That's right.
Places deliver along the routes. I think was it NOLA Picnic and Provisions? I think they were the first ones to kind of build a box for you, and now they deliver it to you on the route. It's almost too easy.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Just riding in a parade, like Tyler Shuck, his first parade he rode in with Pygmalion this past weekend. He had to get that sense what it was like to
He was
be up
beaming
there.
people, man. I saw that video.
Yeah,
It's like,
he's got a
take
good
it
arm.
easy.
He's got a really good arm.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But Tux has got a great history too. Came out of Loyola University. I think it was a fraternity that started it, and
Yes.
it's created such great enthusiasm on the route. People look forward to the Saturday with Tux, and
Yeah, it's unique in a lot of ways, but I think it was meant to be a parade that everyone can take part in. Where the fees aren't quite as high as some of the other parades. Each float is kind of unique. It's not this kind of continuity of a parade. Like we're Nutcracker this year. Last year I can't even remember what we were last year, but it changes every single year.
Yeah.
So I got to get new outfits, but
that's part of the fun.
Keeps it fun.
Yeah,
Keeps it
it's
fun.
part of the fun. It makes a Saturday even more exciting.
Yeah.
Because this Saturday's going to be just chock full with parades.
Oh yeah, and Endymion, of course. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite parades as well.
Yeah.
So I get to catch the end of that.
And Arthur Hardy is going to be a co-grand marshal with Coach Lane Kiffin in Endymion.
Oh,
that's gonna be
nice.
very
I did not
nice.
know that.
Yes. They always bring in the celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what does the spring look like for you? Let's get past Mardi Gras. You're going to be very active, I'm sure, with your Eating NOLA.
Yes and no. I'm in real estate, so the spring and the summer gets really busy. So you can see my page starts to kind of fade off for a little while. Got to put the priorities,
But your viewers are looking for the great news that you always are posting, and we look forward to seeing some more of those great postings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to. There's always some new restaurants that pop up in the spring, new menus, seasonal items. That's always something I'm looking forward to.
Good. Well, when you have some more restaurants you'd like to share with us, we'd love to have you back and talk more food with you.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that T-shirt for a moment.
Oh, the All-Star Special. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing better. I'm kind of upset that Michelin passed up the Waffle House when they were here. I think it's a big mistake on their part.
That will make anyone hungry just looking at it. Well, thanks again for being with us, and look forward to following you on Instagram with Eating NOLA and all the great work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Happy Mardi Gras. All right, gotcha. All right, next up, fifth generation New Orleanian and a Warren Easton grad. I get to spend 5 minutes with Mr. Arthur Hardy.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Couldn't be more better, as we say in New
I am
Orleans.
so excited for you, particularly this week, because we're going to get into it. You've got some special things happening.
Man, I never dreamed this was going to happen this year, but it's sure been fun.
Yes, sir. Let me ask you. You give out Mardi Gras advice all the time.
Yep.
So let's say somebody comes to New Orleans and says to you, "What's different about Mardi Gras this year?" What do you say?
Not a lot, actually, and that's okay. Regular is fine. What we do is so spectacular that anybody who comes the first time is blown away. And as you know, sometimes we can't get rid of them. They move here. They love it so much. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, they see Mardi Gras and they say, "You know what? I could live
Yeah,
here."
I could do this. Yep.
There are a lot of myths about Mardi Gras that tourists might have. What's
Yep.
the one thing that locals know that we need to?
That it's a family-oriented, very safe festival. If you come, expect to have a good time and bring the kids, bring the whole family. It's a time when we all become kids again, really.
That's true. You look at the family reunions that occur along the neutral grounds each and every year.
Yep.
That it's absolutely amazing. It's amazing. So let's talk about parades in a moment that Carnival that happens during Carnival that locals love that maybe visitors don't normally see. Would you call it that, the reunion feel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For me, I mean, I love the parades and the bands and the costumes, but it's the people around it. You could turn around, put your back to the parade and still have a grand time just seeing the interaction of all the folks. Visitors become friends real soon. I mean, somebody will give you a beer, maybe share a bathroom with you. That doesn't happen anyplace else.
Yeah.
Here, we're all one big crazy family.
So somebody coming for the first time, what's the piece of advice that you give them? What should they do? What shouldn't they do?
Plan to have a nice time. Pace yourself. Our parades are 10 times longer than Macy's and Rose parades, things like that. It's a marathon. Finding a bathroom is a challenge. I always hate to say this, but I do. It's not the greatest time to experience our best dining experiences because everybody's overbooked, too many people. Hotel rates, of course, for an event are going to be higher. but that's okay. It's worth it. But just plan to chill. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right, and you've got 2 major weekends that you
Yes.
can, and one weekend is a little bit different than the second weekend. How do you look at those two?
Well, the first weekend, crowds are less, and it's, I think, a slower paced activity that happens that weekend. Mardi Gras weekend is just nuts, wall-to-wall parades, a lot of people, French quarters humming. Sadly, a lot of people leave before Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras Day itself. We have the wonderful parades of Zulu and Rex, and hotel occupancy dips a little bit then. But that weekend has become the biggest of all.
Right, and when you talk weekends, you're really talking Wednesday. The weekend begins Wednesday.
Yes,
and
it does.
It goes all the way through.
It really does. It's 5 wonderful days.
It is amazing. Speaking of weekends, this coming weekend, you're going to be riding in a very special parade.
Well,
Tell us about
Not
that.
just riding. I am the co-grand marshal. Me and some guy called Lane Kiffin. I'm not sure what he does. Actually, of course, he's the LSU coach. I ran into Coach Ogeron in the French Quarter.
He said, "You tell that guy you got to win a national championship before you ride an Endymion."
So I'm not going to tell him that.
Well, what are they telling you about your experience? What will it be like?
Well, I've never had an experience like this, so I don't know. But I'm on my own float. There are other people on the bottom decks, but I'm on the top by myself, and I've got a lot of things to throw, cups with my picture on it, and doubloons and all. And it's just going to be what a way to end a career as a grand marshal of a major parade. And I've seen every Endymion parade since the first one in 1967.
When they used to come out of Dessay Boulevard, huh? in
Yep,
Gentilly.
saw every one of them, then covered them in TV for years. In fact, I had to get special permission to get off of my Fox 8 assignments covering Endymion Parade from the Dome so I could be on the float.
Right, and coming into the Dome has got to be such an experience.
I can only imagine. I think that's going to be the highlight.
You'll have
I can't wait.
20,000, 30,000
Yeah,
people
and my
screaming,
family will be there, so
Hail,
I
Hail Arthur.
I feel very blessed. That's going to be great.
Hail Arthur. Well, good luck with that ride, and the weather looks like it's going to be good.
I think so.
It's going to be a great weekend
Yes,
in New Orleans.
it should be.
Now, I just recently saw the premiere of your documentary that
thank you.
WYS has produced with the great help of Dennis Waltering.
Wonderful producer and
Author.
writer.
It says such a wonderful thing about you as a person and how you grew up in New Orleans and how you really worked to make it, and look what you've done. And I say that this is your 50th anniversary issue of the Mardi Gras Guide.
Yeah.
Which is the go-to encyclopedia.
Thank you.
Anybody that needs to know anything about Mardi Gras finds it in this.
Your check's in the mail. Thank you.
That's all right. It had to be a fascinating experience. I watched you at the premiere. You were sitting in the audience with your beautiful wife. That had to be such a wonderful experience.
It really was. Very humbling, really, when you see it. And as my wife said, did you expect they'd talk bad about you? Of course it was good. They didn't do a background check. But anyway, it was a lovely experience. And I'm very grateful to the folks at WYES for doing it. It's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, and it's going to be seen on WYES TV. You can find it on YouTube as well. And it's just a great piece about
Thank
you
you.
and your family. Well, listen, I'll say hail Endymion and have a great ride.
Oh, I
in
will.
Endymion as co-grand marshal with Coach Kiffin. I took this bobblehead out officially so that you could see that. I think that's something that you gave to me several years ago, and it still sits in the office.
It's one of the
Reminds
silliest
me of-
promotions we've ever done.
and it works. It still works.
Yeah, how about that?
Thank you for being with us.
Happy
Ladies
Mardi
and
Gras,
gentlemen,
pal.
Arthur Hardy.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for your 50 years.
Thank you.
Move the Chains. All right, next up on Move the Chains, sponsored by Crystal Hot Sauce. He's the voice of the Saints on WWL, but it's Mardi Gras, and he's known by many as the Moose. Mike Haas, welcome.
Yeah, that moniker, I guess, the internet's forever, kids. Just remember that.
That's right. There are photos
Which you
that
did
will live
35
forever.
years ago.
But
as
tell
a
us,
whim.
how did Moose start?
Pretty simple. We, Channel 4 would do Mardi Gras coverage, the full boat. And one year, this was back in the mid 80s, I went skiing. And they had these big hats, a gator hat, and one was a moose hat. Big floppy ears. I bought the moose hat. Came back, first year of Mardi Gras, me and Judy Storch out on Veterans. We started the broadcast with a shot of tequila, and I was brand new. I was like, what is this? What are we doing? Right. So I was like, I get it now. It doesn't matter. And then the next year I had a full moose costume that I had made. I've had several moose
You had more
costumes, by
courage.
the way.
You had more courage.
And people always go, man, were you acting silly? Or I was like, let's just say we had fun.
Yeah,
we had fun.
It's Mardi Gras.
And then one year, I was in a clique of friends. We had about 20, and they all showed up in moose costumes, crew of moose. It was the coolest because we were veterans, great parade. But they don't. It goes by Rex and Zulu. What's happened with Rex and Zulu? Then they'll use artists in between for the king and queen, stuff like that. And I remember one year poured, and well, I had fun. And I remember calling my routine was to call Sandy Breland the next day, the news director, and go, well, am I employed? She go, yeah, you were great, click. And then,
the ratings were fantastic.
And then I went from Argus to Bourbon Street balcony. So I'd done Mardi Gras 30 years. I'd never laid eyes on Zulu or Rex since I've been in New Orleans until after I left Channel until the last 4 or 5 years. Wow. Never seen it, because I saw Argus and I saw Bourbon balcony.
But you saw so much.
Yeah, saw a lot.
All right.
Bourbon Street would change.
Well, thank you. The Moose legend continues. All right, let's go to Drew Brees. First ballot. What else is there to say about Drew Brees? I mean,
we got so spoiled. And to me, Drew, the person, and Drew, kind of his actions. The 2006 season, everybody talks 09. The 09 season was phenomenal. Super Bowl. I mean, good gosh. But the 06 season, when Drew came, when they drafted Reggie and Sean, and we didn't know. We didn't know what we had, right? 3-0, the Steve Gleason, block punt, reopening of the Dome. And that NFC Championship year, quite frankly, they should have beaten Chicago. They really should have. And if they do, sorry, Peyton, they win that game. Mm-hmm. So that season to me was just unbelievable. Yeah. And we got a taste of Drew. It was a great draft class. And
he was coming off of a major injury.
Right, well, nobody knew. I mean, the fact that he even got to New Orleans and they didn't sign him in Miami was, it was kind of all meant to be. But yeah, 5,000-yard seasons. It was just we didn't know. We knew what we had. But when we really knew what we didn't have was when we were like other teams in 21. We went from Drew in 20 to 4 different quarterbacks in 21, 4 different kickers. We were the only team to start 4 quarterbacks in 2021. We were like, oh, wait, this is how it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I want Drew back.
But, we were spoiled. But, again, I feel like you, very good about what we're coming into. We want to get into that in just a moment. But, we just had the Super Bowl, Seattle Patriots. What did you see?
It's funny. I mean, it's defense wins championships. There's 2 things. There's 2 knowns in football. And if you can run the ball, like Seattle did,
Walker,
you're in trouble. The other team is and it wasn't 3 yards a clip, it was 10 yards a clip.
Yeah.
So, and the New England defense actually played very, very well. But if you can run the ball, it's everything. And defensively, Seattle did all of their damage rushing 4. And if you have success rushing 4, stopping the run, it's over. Those are the 2 kind of fundamentals. If you rush 4, that puts more in coverage. And Drake May was just overwhelmed. I mean, pick 6, fumble, all the things. His numbers in the postseason of fumbles and interceptions and sacks were like the most ever. Conversely, Seattle, the only team in the NFL to go through the postseason without a turnover. And finally, here's the kicker. We get so caught up in the end of the season. First week of the season, the Las Vegas Raiders go to New England, beat the Patriots in New England. Wow.
Yeah.
One team finished dead last. The other went to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So
it says a lot about what anybody can do in any season, right?
I mean, it's parity. I don't like that word. And the Saints had a pretty, you picked a bad year to play the NFC West. Look at Seattle. They had to battle their way through the NFC West. And who did they play in the playoffs? Rams and Niners.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Again? So it's good to see.
Yeah.
Two teams did make the playoffs, make the Super Bowl the following year. I think, the Saints are in a division where it can happen.
Yeah, let's go to the Saints then.
Yeah.
Saints season coming up and the upcoming draft as well.
Yeah, I think it's important, just like last year. You finally had decent number of picks. They had 9 picks in the top 10. First time they picked in the top 10 since 2007, 2008, Cedric Ellis. I mean, that's a long time. Meanwhile, Atlanta's picking 4th, 8th, 4th, right? They're picking in the top 10. Carolina had the top pick overall. We haven't picked in the top 10, right? And so you had to hit. And I clearly hit. We still don't know about Vernon Broughton. That's a 3rd-round pick as a defensive tackle. So you got to do the same thing this year. You got another inside the top 10. They got to pick because that also helps you get out of financial debt. You pay 9 guys rookie salaries as opposed to trying to to get all this dead cap money out of the way. So I'm never before has the fan base been so excited about 6-11.
As we get closer and we get past the draft, let's have you back in to talk about
Love to.
how we do.
Love to.
Mike, thank you for being
You
with
bet.
us today.
Thank you.
All right, happy Mardi Gras.
You too.
Good to have a good friend in the studio with us, Barry Kern, President and CEO of Mardi Gras World and Kern Studios.
I'm just a CEO now. Fitz is my son.
Fitz is the president.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have him on the show. But
Well,
stay for now, please.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great. Fitz is a great guy. We'll get around to your 2 boys in just a moment. But hey, let's start with you. You grew up around Mardi Gras. What was it like? I mean, as a child, your father, Mr. Mardi Gras, always around the house. Were you in the studios from the very beginning?
Oh yeah. It was, well, first of all, growing up with my father was, I mean, when people say they lived a charmed life, I mean, I think I've seen and experienced more things than most people will ever get to do. I mean, he, will blame my father was, he was who he was. And for those people that know him, no, but he was, had an incredible imagination and was a lot of fun. All the kids in the neighborhood would want to hang out with Blaine.
Yeah.
And on Saturdays, he had a station wagon that he would drive, and all the kids in the neighborhood would jump in the station wagon. We'd all go down to the Aladdin, which was right on the river in Algiers, where the old Mardi Gras World was. And everybody was there, and he would teach the old, some of the kids were older. He'd teach those boys how to drive, and we'd be on the levees, and we'd be in the dens, and you'd be hiding on floats, and you'd be, helping out when time came to help out and do things. I mean, and then Blaine was always had me traveling with him because he loved to travel. It was something that Darwin Finner did with him.
That's right. It just talks about the industry that you're in, but when someone who is just meeting you asks you, what do you do for a living? How do you describe that?
Well, and look, there's other people that, I mean, I guess a lot of times I get identified as a float builder.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously our business now is a lot more than just building floats. But, Mardi Gras in New Orleans is certainly our most important business, and has, I think our business has benefited and Mardi Gras has benefited as we've grown our business. But yeah, I think most people would refer to me as a float builder.
I think designer of dreams in many ways too.
Well, we've certainly, I mean, I've seen it change so much.
Yeah.
And just in my lifetime, it's crazy. And I remember my father, maybe a couple of years before he died, he basically telling my son Fitz, son, you're not going to believe the things that you're going to do in your life.
That's amazing to be told that by your grandfather, and he's living it right now. So it's not about just inheriting a tradition, which you did from your dad, but it's a major responsibility to
Yeah,
maintain.
I kind of think, I feel like our business, because of where we are, in the business and here in New Orleans, and obviously, there's the float building aspect, Kern Studios, there's Mardi Gras World, where we have literally events daily, people coming from the convention center, big groups that are coming in there. We've got tourists every day. And now we're basically exporting it. Universal Studios, one of the oldest and top events that they have is literally their Mardi Gras event that starts on February 7th this year and goes into April. And they literally turn their whole theme park into New Orleans. They build a French Quarter. Everything's purple, green, and gold. There's parades every night. They do concerts on the weekend. They're literally copying what we do. And I can't help but think that everybody that goes and sees that wants to come see the real thing, right? And there's every theme park in the major theme park in the country has our parades and around the world. And there's a lot of people doing these Mardi Gras events. Everyone is copying and wants to be New Orleans, right?
That's an amazing, if you think about the branding, the gift that is given to the city of New Orleans by work that you do worldwide.
Yeah, and and if you think about how it all came to, for me, the amazing part is just thinking of the history and just looking at the way the business has grown. Mardi Gras today is twice as big as it was pre-Katrina. Name me one other thing in New Orleans that's twice as big as it was before Katrina. Mardi Gras continues to grow at a pace that's really remarkable. And it's the one thing that we do better and we do well is putting on these events. And obviously Mardi Gras is one of them, but we're involved with so many things now. The Sugar Bowl Parade, the Manning Children's Hospital Christmas Parade that we're doing. My brother with, Crew of Boo and the Halloween Parade. We've got, probably a dozen St. Patrick's Day parades, St. Joseph. There's all these events and then all these festivals and all the things that we do here in New Orleans that make it the special place that it is. And to think that, in my mind, I always love to talk about the history with Rex and Darwin Finner and his foresight to basically see what Mardi Gras could be and basically taking a young Blaine Kern who was in his early 20s and basically mentoring him and basically getting him and encouraging him to grow Mardi Gras and to basically democratize it.
Your dad taught you a lot about Mardi Gras, but what are the things that have remained with you that guide your decisions?
He was certainly a great, interesting father. And I've got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. We all grew up, and he really encouraged both of my brothers and my sisters, everybody to kind of go out and do something. And frankly, I remember the World's Fair was coming to New Orleans in 1983 or 84, and that was a big deal, right? And if you remember, he was involved with Augie Perez, and they were building the gondola across the river. Think about the mind that comes up with this idea to build a gondola. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because it was basically green. The idea of it was he loved the idea that a 75 horsepower electric motor could move 3,500 people round trip. And he was just ahead of his time. If that thing was there today as a transportation, it would still be operating.
Yeah. And
but really it was that kind of a mindset. But for the World's Fair, we had so much work to do. Mardi Gras World was being built on the West Bank. We had Mardi Gras World at the World's Fair that was opening. We had the Wonderwall to do, the Bridge Gate to do, the Louisiana Journey, which was Hall A of the Convention Center.
That's right.
That was
the
developed.
first real use of the Convention Center.
Right, first real use of the Convention Center. My brother Blaine was working on that. There was a dark ride that we did in there for that. My job was to do the Wonderwall and these giant alligators and the domes and cupolas and all those cherubs you still see around town. And so my dad, we didn't have the capacity to do Mardi Gras, to do a parade at the World's Fair, and to open up all the things we had to do. My dad, who had been bringing me since I was a child to Europe to meet with and to be, he was friends with all these artists and artisans in Europe that did the European carnivals. And he said, son, you need to go to Spain to build this stuff. We just don't have the capacity here in New Orleans. And I went to Spain in Valencia, Spain, where these guys were basically really the best artists in papier-mâché on earth. Nobody better. Literally, They could literally, they have a thing called Las Fallas, a big celebration they do there. And they build these giant statues, like our floats, but they burn them on the eve of St. Joseph's Day. And St. Joseph is the patron saint of carpenters. And so these guys started taking little pieces of wood and creating these cool little effigies and things. And then it turned into, and like literally today you can go there and they'll have like a paper mache. It'll be like the Concorde jet. And you could be 10 feet away from it and you can't tell it's not a real Concorde jet. So I went over there and I got in that village with these different artists that I'd known since I was 6 or 7 years old. And we put a team together and we started working in fiberglass. And we built all the stuff for the Wonderwall. And that was really amazing because that was when I got back to New Orleans, the World's Fair was successful. I remember it was 1987 and they were opening up Splash Mountain. But they wanted to do, the guy who ran entertainment at Disney was good friends with Blaine. And of course, because Blaine had been offered a job from Disney as a young man. And he stayed friends with these guys. But they wanted to do a big Mardi Gras party for the opening of Splash Mountain. And I go out there for 2 weeks, and it's a Mardi Gras event in the Disneyland Hotel. And I'm spending all this time with the guy who runs entertainment. And I'm telling him about everything I had just been doing in Spain. And do you know, that was in 1987 when that event happened. And right after that, he calls me up. He goes, Barry, you've been spending all that time in Spain with all these guys. He says, we're building a theme park in Paris. Would you fly to Paris and go meet our people? We don't have the capacity to do everything that needs to get done. Because they were in Hong Kong. Right. Not Hong Kong, but they were in Tokyo. They didn't have the capacity. And they knew that we had the capacity and I had the capacity. And so I ended up flying to Paris and meeting the Disney people there, and they wanted me to build all of the theming for every retail store, every restaurant, all the directional signage in the whole theme park, and they wanted it to integrate with the Disney characters that they would build in Tahunga, California, where they made all the Disney characters. Well, if you can remember, this is 1989, 1990. There was no such thing as a digital. We had phones, but it was a flip phone. If you remember, there was still a fax. Computers had just started, so you couldn't send a digital image. And they wanted me to interface props of, say, a Mickey Mouse that would be flying an airplane that I was building. And I'm like, guys, you have to let me build the props, the actual Disney IP. And they're like, well, nobody gets to build the Disney IP. So I said, look, we have really, really good artists here. I said, and I'd just done a Jiminy Cricket for Mardi Gras. And I took this Jiminy Cricket head and I flew to Paris with the Jiminy Cricket and the head of Jiminy Cricket. And I showed the guys, like, that's pretty good. Well, let's try it. And so the first prop that I did was a Goofy playing baseball. And I didn't know that Goofy was amorphous, right? He has no sex. That basically none of the Disney characters have it's really, you might think they're men or women, but you don't really know. And of course, the first Goofy we did was awesome, but he had a little bit of, you could see that he was a man in his pants, right? And so literally, we got it back, and they're like, everything is awesome except for that. And I'm like, okay, well, which was an easy, it's in clay, so we were easily, but once we did that, we were the first company ever allowed to do the Disney characters, which opened up a whole new world for me and a whole new business that I pursued for a long time before I went back to work with Blaine.
It's amazing, too, because it does connect Disney to New Orleans once again, because
no other
city is
celebrated like that's a whole story. And look, we should probably do the Barry Kern, the 3 or 4 hour podcast if we want to get into every story. But the story of Blaine with Walt Disney and how he was here in New Orleans often. Love New Orleans. New Orleans is the only city represented in every Disney theme park on earth. And it's the only city. There is no other city.
Right.
The main street is the main street that he grew up on, but there's no name to it. There's a New Orleans square in every Disney theme park on earth. New Orleans is an amazing, amazing place.
Yeah.
And to think the guy who would become the biggest name in the history of entertainment, he loved New Orleans. And I love the city.
Yeah, let's come back to New Orleans just for a moment. I want to talk about floats. Is there a float on a route right now that still gives you chills? When you see that float, does it say, yeah?
Well, so again, a lot of people ask me, what is your favorite parade? Which, I
like asking for your favorite restaurant.
Right, well, it's not even that. it's like asking for your favorite restaurant when you're the chef in every one, right? And then you got to answer to the Arnolds, the Brennans,
Antoine's.
You have to answer to everybody. And listen, I mean, we're so lucky that we have, and every parade has its own personality. And I think that's the thing for me to see growing up and to watch what ended up happening with Bacchus, the birth of Bacchus, and what it did for New Orleans, and really at a time when New Orleans was dying. I mean, the way basically you had half the hotel rooms in the city, and you had 5,000 or 6,000 hotel rooms with about 40% occupancy. And Pip and Dick Brennan came up with this idea. They wanted to have a parade on Sunday night. And the reason why it was Sunday was because they knew if people spent Sunday night, you'd wake up Monday in New Orleans. If you wake up Monday in New Orleans, then you're going to spend the night Monday night because you're going to stay for Tuesday, right? Mardi Gras Day. But a lot of people would come to town on Thursday or Friday, and they'd leave on Sunday. And they built a super crew, the first super crew. They built floats that were twice as big as anybody had ever seen. And then, of course, the story of Ed Munez and Blaine. Ed used to always love him.
Ed Munez, the captain of Endymion.
Captain of Endymion. He was an unbelievable guy that was in the radio business. I mean, I grew up with him.
True entrepreneur.
Oh, incredible entrepreneur, great imagination. And Blaine brought him to the Bacchus rendezvous in the Rivergate the year that Bob Hope was king. And those floats rolled in there with Bob Hope and a full orchestra and 5,000 people in evening gowns and black tie. And Blaine was able to work with the Brennans and Bacchus to allow Endymion to come in the night before and use a lot of the same setup, the stage and a lot of the things. And of course that changed everything because then Endymion ended up growing and going into the Superdome. And then of course on his 25th birthday, Harry Connick Jr. is the 25th Bacchus as a 25-year-old. And he comes and he loves being the king of Bacchus, but also, and he goes into the Bacchus dressing room with all of his buddies that were, all these musicians, and it was frankly the crew was Bacchus was an incredible organization, but he said, man, this would be great if I had my own parade, and he ended up coming with Orpheus the next year, and within 2 years he comes with Orpheus. And Orpheus, and you asked the original question, which I'm really always can go off on a tangent here, so you always have to bring me back, Mark, if you didn't notice, and I'm lucky that I'm actually identifying where we started this, is that you asked what parade, what float gives me chills. There's a float that I think changed well, you can look at it. The Bacca Gator.
Right.
Which
is still in the parade.
Which is still in the parade. We took the Bacca Gator, which was one of the giant alligators I made for the Wonderwall.
Oh, I didn't know
for the
that.
World's Fair. Yeah, and if you remember what happened was we didn't get paid by the World's Fair. So we took all that stuff back. So you can still see props from the World's Fair, domes and cherubs and particularly busts that were
on
all
various
over,
floats around.
On various floats around Mardi Gras. But so the first multi-section float was the Bacca Gator. And then for the Bacca Gator, you had the Leviathan. And the Leviathan was the first float that had fiber optic. And that's an interesting story in itself. I won't get into it, but I'll just say that we had a benefactor in the organization who was a wealthy guy in the oil and gas business, and he wanted to build something for his wife, who was originally from New Orleans. And we literally built a float that kind of changed. In my mind, it changed, and it's still one of the prettiest floats in Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Because it's incredibly dramatic as it comes down the street. The special effects are great. But that float was kind of like, if I could ever describe an arms race between Endymion, Bacchus, and Orpheus over who was going to build the best floats, it literally got everybody interested. And that's the great thing about Mardi Gras is the better that we do, and we learned all these great things working for Disney, working for Universal, working out in Las Vegas. I learned all these different techniques that I brought into the floats. And as we did that, a guy like Ed Munez was he was not going to be outdone, right? Yeah. And of course, Bacchus didn't want to be outdone. And so every year, Bacchus has a new float this year that's incredible. Endymion had an incredible float last year. Orpheus added an incredible float 2 years ago. That's the great thing about Mardi Gras in New Orleans and the parades that we do is that the more that it stays the same, it's the history, it's the way that we celebrate it, the more that we do, the better that it comes.
Yeah, and the competition is healthy and it raises the bar for
absolutely.
everybody. Yeah. You're working with your two sons. What is that like?
Oh, it's great.
Fitz and Patrick.
Yeah. So Fitz has been there almost, I guess, 10 years now. And
now president.
Yeah, and now president. And I will say that the good news is I think he's a much better version of a Blaine and a Barry. He's certainly a better manager. And so that's the good news is that we're already working on sketches for 2028 right now.
Fantastic.
We basically have sculptors working on 2027 props. And of course we're still finishing floats and things for this year because you're always working.
Yeah.
And then of course Patrick now is coming into the business and he's been traveling with us. As we build these new exhibits and things, we're doing stuff for the State Fair of Texas, the Houston Rodeo, the Fiesta Bowl Parade in Phoenix, and like I said before, Mexico City, Six Flags Parade. We have parades that are running in China, Korea, Japan.
And I have to say, we're going to have LSU Mike the Tiger in a parade coming up with Coach Kiffin, right?
Yeah, Coach Kiffin is going to be
That's great.
riding Mike the Tiger, which was another idea. My son Fitz and Patrick, but Fitz came up with this idea. He's like, Dad, we need to build a giant tiger. And I'm like, well, man, go for it, son. Let's do it. And literally we did it. And of course, it's if you see the reactions, because it leads the Tiger Walk at the LSU games, but it went up, of course, to Omaha.
Right. For
with the baseball team.
Championship.
And it creates a lot of excitement.
Yeah, that's terrific.
In only a way that Louisiana can celebrate, too.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing that. I know the parade goers are going to be thrilled when they see the parade in Deming that night with Coach Kiffin. All right. So on the show, we have the official New Orleans Questionnaire. And I'd like to give you the opportunity to participate in that.
Okay.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you some questions. You can answer it 1, 2 words, and we'll keep moving. What is the best poor boy?
Dom Elise's, although I go to Dom Elise's far less than I'd like to go, but it's a little harder to keep the pounds off these days. Dom Elise's, if you're in New Orleans, and if you happen to be in Metairie, there's a place called Radasta's. It's really great, too.
What is it? Is it a roast beef? Is it a seafood?
Oh, I think, it's shrimp.
Shrimp, oh boy.
Yeah, shrimp or oyster,
Dressed?
particularly this time of year, totally dressed,
All right.
absolutely.
You have an opportunity to see one New Orleans musical artist, just one, dead or alive, in concert. Who would it be and where would it be?
It's going to be the guy that literally the most famous person ever from New Orleans, Louis Armstrong. Never been anybody more famous. In fact, he was known around the world. And in fact, if you ever just do a little research on Louis Armstrong. In fact, I'm working on something right now, a Louis Armstrong statue that we're going to put out at New Orleans Airport that Kern Studios is donating to the airport because I get out to Louis Armstrong Airport. I'm in the airport all the time. And I'm like, damn, we need a Louis Armstrong in here. I mean, how do we have the airport not have the guy himself?
That's going to be a great
Louis
gift.
Armstrong,
That's
I
terrific.
think he would.
And where would you want to see him play?
Oh, hell, where do you think I'd want to see him? At Mardi Gras World, live at Mardi Gras World, for one of our events, I think would be great.
All right, your favorite New Orleans smell? The favorite.
So it's really, there's obviously New Orleans is a town that has lots of smells, but there's two things that you can smell in New Orleans, and I smelled it this past weekend. Bread, baking, which is always great, and then also when you go out, you can smell them, the coffee beans.
Oh, when you cross the high rise there?
Yeah. You can smell the coffee beans, which I think is really, really, and obviously New Orleans history with coffee and the great bread we have.
This is a silly question to ask you, but I'm going to ask it. Mardi Gras or Jazz Fest?
Well, so Mardi Gras, I think, is certainly, there's a lot of people that Mardi Gras, like I said, has been being copied all over. I don't get to I enjoy Mardi Gras a lot When I'm in the middle of it, it's obviously a lot of work. It's a lot of logistics. But Jazz Fest, I have a lot of friends that come in for Mardi Gras and clients. I've got people that come, the guys that run entertainment at Disney and Universal that come in for Mardi Gras and Jazz Fest. And I'm not talking just a little bit. I'm talking they'll come in every year.
Yeah.
And, to get those guys on a level like that want to return to this city is really pretty remarkable when you think about it.
All right, Mountain Rushmore. If you did a Mardi Gras Mountain Rushmore, who would be on that mountain?
Wow. So I think I would have to start with, the very beginning, Comus, because there's a lot, a lot of people say Mobile, whether it was Mobile or New Orleans. New Orleans was the first Mardi Gras parade. Okay, they were celebrating New Year's Eve.
And Comus
that
was
doesn't
the
count.
first Mardi Gras parade.
Comus, obviously, I think, Rex, the Day King. I think from my perspective, you'd have to have Darwin Finner, who was a very, very, very smart and apparently just prescient. He really could see what Mardi Gras needed and what New Orleans needed. He took Blaine under his wing. Obviously, I think that Blaine is on the Mount Rushmore I don't think anybody's made more of an impact on Carnival, certainly in the 20th century, than he has. I think obviously the Brennans with Bacchus, I think, was super important. Ed Munez with Endymion. Frankly, Muses, Stacy Rosenberg and Virginia Saucy with bringing the female crews. It's hard to just point out there's so many of them now. And today, you got Cleopatra and Iris that are over 3,000 members.
Right. And you mentioned
Colleen Johnson and
you mentioned Louis Armstrong
Kristen
earlier when
Danforth.
he was king of Zulu.
Well,
and
that's
I see that photo of him riding on that float, and I'm thinking,
Louis
iconic.
Armstrong in 1949, they made him King Zulu, and that was picked up. He was on the cover of Time magazine, and it was covered all over the world.
Yeah.
And it brought attention to Mardi Gras, and that's why when Blaine and Pip and Dick Brennan got together when they first formed Bacchus, they decided to have a celebrity king. And they decided to call it Bacchus because Bacchus actually predated even the crew.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to gumbo. Chicken or seafood?
Chicken. That's
Okay.
easy.
Your favorite New Orleans movie or TV series?
I'm going to bring this just for everybody can think about this. There's a movie. It was a terrible movie, but it's Paul Newman was the actor. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward called The Drowning Pool. And in that movie, Joanne Woodward, Paul Newman's brother is Blaine, and Paul Newman is a detective and finds Blaine's card, and he picks it up and it says, Blaine Kern artist, and he ends up in Algiers at the Den where Joanne Woodward is an artist working on a float in that movie. And Blaine used to always brag that when he was a young man going out to Las Vegas, that that they were dating these showgirls and that he knew Joanne Woodward. And of course, nobody ever believed him until she showed up with her husband and they made a movie in the 70s in New Orleans.
All right, neutral ground or sidewalk side?
I think I like the sidewalk side. And I think about it because when I ride in the parades, I ride in the front of every parade that we do. I like the neutral ground because the lights are on the neutral ground, so I can see the people a little bit better on St. Charles Avenue. But if I was on the parade, if I was watching a parade, I'd be on the sidewalk side because I want to be able to get out and get where I need to go afterwards.
Very good. Your earliest memory of visiting the French Quarter?
With my mother, I remember she brought me to a parade, and I remember the flambeaux. I remember the parade going through the French Quarter. And so I must have been, that in 69 or 70 was the last year. So I was probably, 6, 7, 8 years old.
And speaking of flambeaux, those were used back in the early days when there were no lights on the floats, right? And it would illuminate the floats.
The idea was to illuminate the floats. Exactly.
All right, dead or alive, who is the one person you'd like to take to lunch, and where would you take them?
I'd have to go back to Louis Armstrong. And, I guess I want him to let me, I'd let him tell me where he wanted to go. I'm sure we'd end up somewhere down in the Treme or, near Congo Square, somewhere down there, eating a great New Orleans.
That's beautiful.
Maybe we'd be at Little Dizzy's or something.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall.
Little
for that.
Dizzy's, probably.
Little Dizzy's.
We'd probably end up at Little Dizzy's.
On Esplanade, yeah.
Yep.
What is your favorite New Orleans song? Either a song by a New Orleans artist or a song about New Orleans.
This is a song I play every year, and I'm not really a big music guy. I enjoy music, but I'm not like one of these guys that goes to concerts and has a big collection or anything. But I do play this song every year on Mardi Gras morning called, is it the Soul Rebels Now, Do What You Wanna. Because if there's ever a day that everybody does what they want to,
That's right.
it's Mardi Gras Day.
What is the one New Orleans food item you can't live without?
Red beans and rice. I will have to have my red beans and rice every Monday, or if I don't get it Monday, I'm getting it at least once a week.
You're going to find it.
I'm going to find it.
Favorite place to get it?
And my wife knows it. Oh, at home.
At home.
Yep,
All right.
yep.
You've been out of town for a month. You fly back into the airport in New Orleans at Louis Armstrong International. You hop in an Uber and decide to have a drink. Where are you going to go, and what are you going to have?
So first of all, I'm not a big, as much as my business is going out all the time, I'm not out a lot. But I think if I was going out, normally when I go straight home from the airport, but if I'm the tourist coming into town, I think I'd go to the Carousel Bar. That is a lot of fun, and I like that whole bar area that they've got set up over there at the Mont
That's
Leon.
great. Mont Leon Hotel.
Live music, I think it's a lot of fun, yeah.
All right, our final question. In 5 words or less, why do you love New Orleans?
It's 4 words. It's a real place.
That's
It
beautiful.
really is. I mean, there's no other place like it on earth. And I think that's the reason why we have so much going for us. I think that it's being a real place. There's a value to that AI and no one can recreate.
That's great. And you're a real treasure, and so is your family. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, well, I love the Romans. I feel like I've known you my whole life. I certainly knew your father since I was maybe a tot.
Well, my mom knew you were coming on the show, so she wanted me to give you her love as well.
Well, I love your mom. She's wonderful.
All right,
Amazing
Barry.
woman.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
This week in New Orleans.
All right, I am sure we have an action-packed this week in NOLA. There's so much going on. What you got, April?
Thanks, Mark. Here's what's happening this week in New Orleans. Love and all your favorite throws are in the air. This week brings Valentine's Day and Carnival time together, and that means it starts at the table. If you're celebrating Galentine's or Valentine's Day, some of the city's most beloved restaurants are leaning in all the way. At Couvent, enjoy a 4-course Valentine's menu this Friday and Saturday. Chemin a la Mer is offering a chef-driven shareable experience. Also in the Four Seasons is Down on Link's Miss River, where they're serving Creole classics and Cajun flavors in a beautiful setting. For an experience that's rollin', hop aboard the Paddle Whaler Creole Queen for a Valentine's Day cruise along the Mississippi, complete with an upscale buffet, open bar, live entertainment, and a champagne toast. And no matter the occasion, if a romantic night out is what you seek, you can never go wrong at Lillette, Mamou, Irene's, La Crêpe Nanou, Petoise, Akamaya, or Sylvain. If you're planning to catch the parades uptown, where you sip matters. Fed Harry's is a classic starting point right at Napoleon in St. Charles. Expect beer, giant premixed drinks, and hurricanes in a relaxing setting. For a more refined parade experience, the Chloe offers patio cocktails with a front row view of the route. Another uptown favorite is the Columns with options for daily access or reserved tables, plus standout drinks like the Lavender Cold Press or a coffee Negroni. For a parade staple, check out Superior Grill for an easy-to-go, easy-to-drink margarita. Craft beer lovers should set their sights on Avenue Pub, and if spirits are your thing, Lula Distillery is hosting Lula Girl. If you can't make it to the party, then grab a bottle for the route or take one home. The parade lineup this week is stacked, starting on Wednesday with the Mystic Crew of Druids, followed by the Crew of Allah. Thursday brings Knights of Chaos and Babylon, followed by the iconic all-female Crew of Muses. Keep your eyes out for that coveted shoe. Friday is packed with the Crew of Hermes, Morpheus, and Coup d'Etat, famously known for their flashing skeleton beats. Saturday is a marathon starting early with the Crew of Iris and their signature sunglasses throw. Following is the Crew of Tux, where you can catch toilet brushes, plungers, and all sorts of cracked throws. And don't forget Nam Tak on the West Bank. And completing this day's parades is the Super Crew of Endymion. Close out the weekend on Sunday, starting with the Crew of Okeanis, followed by Mid-City, Toth, and ending with Bacchus. For more places to eat, drink, and play this week in New Orleans, visit NewOrleans.com. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks, April. Well, as they say, every place else is just Tuesday, but here it's Mardi Gras. So we got great things happening this weekend and Mardi Gras Day. What are y'all's rituals? What are you going to wear? Are you going to costume? What you do?
I'm not costuming really, but I'm working on a personal project where I've been, I'm a photographer.
And a very good one, I might add.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. But I've been following this tribe around for like an entire year, Big Chief. So I'm going to follow him for the whole day. He's coming out with his with a new tribe.
Is it uptown or downtown?
It's a downtown tribe.
Great.
But this is his first year as a chief, and he's starting a new tribe, so I'll be documenting that.
Just gave us an idea. We're going to have a segment about the difference between uptown and downtown.
Yeah, maybe we can get two different
we'll do that.
Yeah, chiefs in here, yeah.
Good. What about you, Pooch?
I will be with the kids. They range from 17 to 4. So I'll be probably doing daddy duties. But I'll be on St. Charles Avenue right there across from the Whitney Bank. And it's a new kind of – we're uptown. This year I'm doing downtown, and it's kind of cool. I like it better a little bit.
That's great. Yeah, so. Good. Cal?
My favorite parade every year, Orpheus. I'll be out there. My favorite spot, the corner of St. Charles and Napoleon. I go down there. I walk down St. Charles, just kind of follow the parade. My favorite place to be.
That's a beautiful parade.
Absolutely.
They do a great job.
My favorite.
And Cage, what's your Mardi Gras day like?
Usually with family, but I do like the Muses parade. That's my favorite. I've never caught a shoe, but I'm gonna try to catch one this year.
All right, I'm gonna say positive vibes your way. Shoes coming your way. That's great.
But what about you, Mark? What are you doing for Mardi Gras?
Well, I will be getting up very early, going to the Den over on Claiborne Avenue to help the Rex organization with some media. And then I'll get on a float and I'll ride. And then I will end my day serving as a MC for the Rex Ball. So my day will start about 5 o'clock in the morning and maybe at about 1 a.m. on Ash Wednesday. Oh, long day.
What float are you on?
I'm going to be
on a float.
I'm going to get in trouble if I do this.
Yeah, that's why
I'm going to run out of beads.
I'm just teasing.
I'll run out of throws. But if you're out there, float sidewalk side. All right. Well, y'all have a great Mardi Gras. It's going to be fantastic. Be safe. And again, everywhere else, it's just Tuesday. This is Positively New Orleans. It's Mardi Gras. Not only in the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, but across Louisiana. King cake delicacies, both sweet and savory, can be found in home and office break rooms everywhere. And when people from around the world hear the words Mardi Gras, they often think of beads, parades, and music filling the streets. But you and I know Mardi Gras is much more than a celebration. It is a story about people, about families and neighborhoods. A story that helps describe who we are, where we come from, and why our region is unlike anywhere else in the world. At its core, the term Mardi Gras is French for Fat Tuesday, marking the final day of celebration before the season of Lent on the Christian calendar. Traditionally, it is a time to enjoy rich food, music, and time with friends and family before a period of reflection and sacrifice. While rooted in faith, Mardi Gras has always been welcoming. It belongs to everyone. When this moment on the calendar arrived in our region, it took on a life of its own. Influenced by French and Spanish settlers, African and Caribbean cultures, and generations of locals, Mardi Gras evolved into something uniquely our own. It became a way of life. Whether you are involved as a member of a parading organization, part of the presentation of debutantes, sewing costumes, masking as an Indian, or simply standing curbside as a parade goer, Mardi Gras belongs to all of us. It is a volunteer-driven gift to the world, and we are honored to play whatever part we can. The crews, costumes, black masking Indian suits, marching bands, and rituals passed down through families all reflect the creativity and pride of this region. It's also the great equalizer, where neighborhoods come together, creativity shines, and like being a Saints fan, we are one. The impact of Mardi Gras has often been described as soul food. It refreshes, renews, and rejuvenates our love for this region. Many of us remember the first Mardi Gras after the devastation and hardship left by Hurricane Katrina. As floats rolled out of their dens of creativity once again, There was a washing away of the past, replaced by the hope-filled music in the streets and the joyful crowds of, "Throw me something, mister," or madam. Today, we salute all those who give their time, resources, and passion to ensure the magic never fades. Because in the end, Mardi Gras is not just about one day or one season. It's about identity. It is about history. And it is about hope. It is the heart of the New Orleans region, beating loudly, colorfully, and proudly for all to see. That's positively New Orleans. And that's a wrap on our Mardi Gras special. Let's hope the rain stays away. Special thanks to our sponsors, Blue Runner Foods, Crystal Hot Sauce, New Orleans and Company, our friends at Visit the North Shore, and their podcast, All the Waves. Go check it out. As always, have fun and be safe out there. We'll see you next week.